What's going on, guys? If you haven't heard, I recently started a blog over on the website dedicated to taking some of the information we cover here a step further. To do that, I brought on a few of my good friends to give you guys some other perspectives on the changes going on in today's game. Last week's blog post covered how the ongoing debate between old school versus new school really isn't all that different, and today I'm going to expand on that just a little bit. Welcome to Simple Sabermetrics, the brains behind baseball's latest data-driven revolution. If this is your first time here and you want to learn more about the practical applications of baseball's latest technologies and training techniques, join the movement now by clicking the subscribe button down below. Before we jump into it, let me set the stage a little bit. If you rewind the clock back before all of this new technology was introduced, you'll find yourself in a very different landscape. I'm talking about before the 2002 A's season that Moneyball captured, and even before Bill James' baseball abstract that was published in the 80s. This is a game before all of the new technology that many, myself included, have relied on in today's game to find an edge. There are more and more people today coming up with an understanding of this sport through the lens of that technology. And as you'd imagine, I think that's great. But before we got to this point, if you wanted to be successful working in baseball, you had to put in the time. And for the most part, having a playing career was one of the only ways to gain that valuable experience. But as the game changed, and more individuals have access to the new age types of technology being developed every single day, the old system began to get challenged. And this created that old versus new school mindset that a lot of people have today. But the question I'm asking you all is, what's the real difference between the two? To give you some perspective on this matter, let's talk about the terminology being used in what most people consider old school lingo versus the up-and-coming new school data. A few terms you may have heard before are things like a heavy fastball, or an explosive fastball, or of course, the classic, that guy's got a hammer of a breaking ball. But what do these terms really describe? Well, for a heavy fastball, this is a pitch with a lot of sink, and because of its heavy nature, it has been thought to have generated a lot of ground balls. But if you think about it in the new school terms, we would call this a low spin rate fastball. Due to its spin, it falls with gravity more than the average pitch, thus yielding a higher ground ball percentage. The concept is the same, we're just quantifying it now. What about the next one? An explosive fastball. Well, that's a fastball that gets on guys quick and appears faster than it really is. In new school terms, this is a pitch that has a high perceived velocity. When a pitcher has an above average extension, that pitch has less distance to travel, therefore making that pitch get to the plate faster, making it appear to be thrown harder than it is. You see where I'm going with this? Okay, one more. The hammer. This is one most people are pretty familiar with. A curveball with nasty break that hitters really struggle with. To quantify this, that's a breaking ball with a high induced vertical break, typically thrown with above average spin rate of around a 6 o'clock spin direction. You see, in this data-driven revolution, we aren't discovering anything new. We're simply quantifying the things that took people's years of watching the game to get a grasp on before. As you can imagine, I came up on the new age side of the game, relying on technology to help me better understand what made athletes good or bad. But that doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. The ability to put yourself in the middle of these two worlds, data-driven, but able to share this information with the people around you, no matter their background, has become incredibly valuable. And at the end of the day, our jobs as coaches is to never make the sport about us. It all comes back to making players better. Whatever the best way to do that is the way to go. Finding your way into the middle as a translator can be extremely beneficial to you in this game. In any industry, the ability to continuously learn, effectively communicate, and to just flat out work your tail off are always going to be rewarded. This whole old school versus new school debate doesn't truly capture what's really going on in the sport today. Trust me, I know. I've been the kid sitting in the stands setting up all my technology, being told by somebody working in the industry that all of us new kids with our technology don't belong in the sport. And there are plenty of new school people who think that the old school folk don't deserve a spot either. And one of my favorite quotes from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People captures this situation perfectly. You should first seek to understand, then to be understood. And that's the way I like to think of this battle between old and new. Being able to see the other side's perspective is incredibly valuable in this industry and in life. And that's where I'm going to leave you today. If you like this video, you'd absolutely love the blog post written by Dmitry Kokoris. He shares his perspective on how the game has changed, as he has been in this game for much longer than I have. You should definitely go and check it out. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and you'd like to see more simple sabermetrics, please subscribe. Click the video on the left for more baseball animations, or the video on the right to check out my new vlog. Leave a comment and a like down below to show your support, and I will see you next Wednesday with a new baseball animation.